It's coming, 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 coming.
Yo, what is going on, Voyagers? Your boy Finicki back with another video, and today we are going to continue the Ultimate Guide series with Loba, the Translocating Thief. And per usual, guys, if you guys are enjoying this type of content, this type of guide, make sure you guys go down and hit that like button. It takes about 2 seconds, and it helps the channel out so much. And if you are wanting to see more of these Apex Ultimate Guides, make sure you go down and hit the subscribe button. It's free. You can just go down, smack the button, and then throw on those notifications so you know whenever I upload every single day for Apex Legends. We are going to keep the same format that we have been doing in our previous videos. So the first one is going to be talking about the lore. Second is going to be talking about the abilities, specifically in depth. And 3 is going to be talking about how you should be playing Loba / what should we see some changes, some nerfs, some buffs to her abilities. And yeah, without further ado, let's hop right into it. Loba, aka Loba Andrade, is the newest legend added to the Apex Legends games, and she is back for some vengeance on Revenant. And so if you have not already watched some of these lore videos, I'm going to just break it down for you on what happened to her and how she got to where we are at now. So Loba is actually first revealed in Revenant's opening trailer, and so she's actually the child of the guy being assassinated by Revenant, or being ordered to be assassinated by Revenant. And so her dad dies, and in the trailer you see Revenant absolutely destroy her whole family, and she's actually the 9-year-old kid that is holding her mom at the very end, and she has like a little bit of blood on her eyes that look now like her makeup that she has today. So it looks like she is then joined in with the foster care system, and she is adopted by another family. We don't know much about this family, but what we do know is that Loba eventually grew up, and now she is the world-renowned thief. She's one of the best thieves in the Outlands and knows how to maneuver and get her reward based off of her translocating bracelet, which is also her tactical ability, which we'll get into later. But during one of her big missions, she met a friend, and the friend is a investigator, and he found where Revenant is, and he found that he was in the Apex Legends games. And so she wanted to seek out her revenge by also trying to figure out where the main brain was for Revenant. And so she found it was underneath Skulltown in the Apex Legends game. So she went down there, tried to destroy it. She ended up having to defend for her life and ended up killing the Skulltown, and now she found where Revenant is, and she is going to later get her revenge. And the plot just thickens. So that's kind of where we're at when it comes to Loba's lore and all of her background. We don't actually know what planet she's from and much about her family at the current moment, but that's all the information we have with her through season 5. So I am actually going to switch it up when it comes to talking about these abilities. Normally I have a sort of order when it comes to this, but since Loba is so new, I feel like going from the top to the bottom is probably the best. So what we are going to do is first start with the passive, then go to the ultimate ability, and then last but not least, what I think is the biggest skill gap, and that is using the tactical ability. So the first ability we are going to go over is Eye for Quality, and I'm going to show it up on the screen right now. And it is no cooldown on it. The description says nearby epic and legendary loot can be seen through walls. The range has the same as Black Market Boutique, which is also known as her ultimate, which we will get into in a second. So the range is 78 meters, and that is quite a bit of space, and it does include red items, which you know is not that huge, and it can ping through obstacles inside loot boxes, which is pretty significant there. When it comes to tactical abilities in Apex Legends, I wouldn't necessarily say that Loba has the best one, but I wouldn't say that she has the worst one. I would say this is definitely more on the higher category of it being very strong, due to you being able to loot effectively and efficiently, and therefore being able to rotate around the map and be able to have decent loot or know where to find decent loot. And I think in that aspect of it, it is really strong. but for the most part, it's nothing like super overwhelming, such as like a Pathfinder passive, or I guess now the new Mirage passive. With all of that being said, I would say that there is a skill to her, being able to use her passive effectively, being able to call out what something is beforehand. So calling out to a teammate like, hey, check to the right, you can have a Phoenix or a purple armor. And speaking of those, you have to have a certain skill of being able to distinguish what type of purple or legendary item is on the ground. It's pretty easy for legendary items because there's only a few, but being able to see from a long distance away of knowing what type of purple item it is in that crate or on the ground is really important. And that was all kind of long-winded, but that's pretty much everything to do with her passive. Next, we're going to be going over her ultimate, which is called the Black Market Boutique. I'm going to be showing it up on the screen now. And the charge time is 175 seconds. And the description says, place a portable device that allows you to teleport nearby loot to your inventory. Each friendly or enemy legend can pick up 2 items only. So how this works is Loba will take out her staff and actually throw it down on the ground. But before you do that, you should also make sure that you are looking at your minimap and seeing the 78 meters around you. Make sure that there's loot boxes, make sure that there are buildings that you have not looted yet, all sorts of stuff before you throw that thing down, because all the loot that's in that little area is going to be coming and available to you in about 4.5 seconds once you place that staff down. It's basically just a death box of a bunch of items, but you got to make sure that you are doing it correctly. You don't want to be that little noob, you know? You don't want to be that guy that's playing Loba with random teammates and you throw down the Loba staff and there's no loot at all. So here are my little tips that I would say are important whenever you're going to be using the ultimate. Is one, whenever you're going to be playing aggressive with this, I would make sure that you're putting it behind a building, putting it behind like an object, maybe a tree or something, so that it doesn't get broke. It does actually have 100 health points, so you want to make sure that you're putting it in a safe spot, but also in an effective spot. And the ultimate doesn't actually go away once all your teammates pick up only 2 items, which, by the way, that is a good reminder for you guys to remember. You can only pick up 2 items, so make sure that they're the positive items, whatever items you need, whether that's heals at the time, or if you want better armor that's in the area and you don't want to go and find it. But speaking of that, you have to make sure that you collapse it. So there's an option when you go up to the box, you can actually collapse the actual market itself, and so therefore other team cannot come in and use it and pick up their 2 items. So it's something that you need to remind yourself of. If your teammate is really far away and you want to use it, just use it and then collapse it. Or if once your 2 teammates have already used it, make sure you collapse it so that other people are not getting the same access that you are. One last tip that I'm going to give for the ultimate is something for you to be aware of, either whenever you're placing it or whenever you are just playing in general and you're going against a Loba. You can actually see whenever the ultimate gets placed down, and so if you are going against one and you see somebody getting placed down, make sure you are aggressive in that moment. Make sure you go and try and find where that market is, because they are going to be inside the market, not even looking for any enemies at all, and that'll be a chance for you to take advantage of that. So it's just something small, but it's something for you guys to be able to just be looking out for whenever you're going against Loba, specifically this season, because there's a lot of Lobas trying to make them Loba mains, all that sort of stuff. But yep, we are going to lastly focus on the tactical ability, and that is called Burglar's Best Friend, and it is on a 30-second cooldown and can teleport to hard to reach places or escape trouble quickly by throwing your jump drive bracelet. So we're going to go over a little bit of the details, and then I'm going to actually tell you how you should be playing and using this ability correctly / most effectively. So super small details is that while it's in mid-air, you can actually hit the right trigger or whatever it is applicable to you, and it automatically throws the bracelet down and you can go straight to there. Also, the max distance for the bracelet to be thrown is 87 meters. So one of the best tips that I can give to new Loba players and just regular Loba players is knowing the map and how to effectively use this bracelet to get either height or distance. I know that sounds like potentially such a generic little tip, but here's the deal. You have to know how long it takes for that bracelet to get to a certain distance for you to be able to get away from an engagement. Or if you're trying to get distance in general, when it comes to like getting to a fight and you're throwing your bracelet, you have to know what trajectory and everything that is so important. But you have to know the map and like where there are different like drop spots or where there's different height, and like all of those things encompass a really strong Loba player using this tactical ability. Something good for you to know as a Loba player is that you can actually cancel your throw. You get about a half a second to a second when she's doing the load up animation to throw the bracelet. You can actually cancel it really quickly. That's something for you to know if you actually accidentally hit the button and or you decide not to use the bracelet. And while the bracelet is in the air, there will be a little bar that is going across. You can see how long it's going to take until the bracelet hits the ground by itself without you actually hitting the activation trigger. But one of the things you also need to know and look at is you can see a little projection of where the bracelet is in a vertical sense. So say the bracelet is going far, you can actually see a little orange line of where it is going. So if you're throwing it over a hill and then it drops down a little bit, you can actually see that in the little projection of where the bracelet is landing. So familiarizing yourself with this tactical ability will give you the option to be able to outplay your teammates. But another thing you need to know is whenever you are done throwing that bracelet and it lands, or you activate it and you land, there is an animation for about half a second to another second, and it is a slow. So you actually are slowed down while she's putting her bracelet back on. So you need to put that into perspective whenever you're using it, of knowing like, hey, this actually needs to be around a corner so that you aren't getting shot while you're putting the bracelet on. It also is something for you to remember whenever you are attacking someone, that you have about a 1 second delay that she is putting on the bracelet / about a 0.3 maybe 0.4 seconds of you pulling out your gun as well. So those are things that you have to remember while you're using this if you are playing aggressive with the bracelet. My last little tip, and it's really not that crazy, but it is be creative with her tactical ability. You're able to outplay SoaR with this ability. Make sure that you're using it effectively. Be big brained and outplay your opponent to the best that you know how. And it's gonna take trial and error, but guess what? You can do it. I know you can do it. So this last little segment, I'm going to start by saying how I personally play her / how I believe others should be using her as well. One, I would say it's a little aggressive, but not too aggressive. So she's more of a passive aggressive legend where she can utilize her mobile ability to be able to cut distances as well as further herself from opponents, as well as gaining verticality. And I mentioned this before, but it leads right into my second tip, and that is be creative with Loba. She reminds me very similar to that of Pathfinder and that of Wraith, a little bit of a combination of both being able to get verticality, but also being able to get out of a really tough situation and not taking any damage. So you just got to be able to know how to do that, be able to maneuver, and I know you guys can do it. And my third and final opinion on how I think she should be played is she should actually be a backliner. So she should allow for Gibraltar, Caustic, a Wraith to go in first, and then she is able to either do a flank maneuver or she is able to go around, use her teleport, and hit the whatever characters that they got initiation damage on. So she's a super good, I would say, support character, but being able to be like a backliner is probably my best opinion on how she should be played in a team fight. And if there are some changes that I would love to see when it comes to Loba, for making her probably an A tier to about an S tier, one of the best characters in the game, is one, lowering the animation time. The animations seem a little bit too long, and therefore she seems to get caught out in a lot of bad situations. So I would like to see the animation time go down a little bit more. And the last change I would probably make right now is the distance. She can go quite a bit of ways, but I would like to see her verticality be changed a little bit more. She seems to, you have to have a perfect trajectory to be able to get a lot of height. And so I feel like right now now, that's a little too weak. But since she is kind of new right now, I can see some changes of maybe some verticality and more outplay maneuverables than she already has right now. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video and you learned something from it, whether you're a seasoned vet on Loba or you're just wanting to see how she plays just in general to learn more about the character. And if you made it this far, my guess is you did enjoy it enough that you're able to go down, hit that like button, and subscribe if you have not already. And yeah, this has been your boy Finicki signing out and blasting off. Hope to see you again for another video. God bless. Doses, baby.